Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of 4 Wide with Declan. As always, we will discuss 4 topics, but it will be a bit different today. Let's get right into it. To start off, all 4 of these topics will be about the Daytona 500 this weekend. So to start off, we have the open cars. We'll do a complete explanation of the Daytona 500. We have the open cars, so we have the ones that made it in on qualifying last night, the 84 of Jimmy Johnson and the 67 of Travis Pastrana. And now we have the ones that are still left to make it in, that have to race their way in via the duels tonight. We have the 36 of Zane Smith, the 62 of Austin Hill, the 50 of Connor Daly, who actually broke an oil line, and they had to go back to Charlotte to get a new part for that number 50 car. And finally, the number 13 of Chandler Smith, who had issues in qualifying last night and couldn't get the car fired up. So qualifying from last night decides the lineup for the duels. The odd number positions go in duel 1, and duel 1 decides the lineup for the inside starting lineup of the Daytona 500. And the even numbered positions are going in duel 2, which decides the outside line on the start, those positions. So next up we have, our next topic here is how the race weekend looks. Last year there was practice on Tuesday. Now there's practice tomorrow. So there was qualifying before practice. So the qualifying and the duels are before any practice happens. I feel like they should get at least one practice session to get their car fired up and revved up for qualifying. Yeah, it was just hard for some of those guys last night to get their car fired up and get them into a good spot after there being no practice before qualifying. Well, one thing about qualifying is the top 2 in the final round are the top 2 front row starters in the Daytona 500. Alex Bowman continues his streak. It's the same front row. Last year it was Kyle Larson on pole and then Alex Bowman on the outside line. Well, this year it's Alex Bowman on pole and Kyle Larson starting second. So it's kind of different. So our next topic is what new teams what driver changes in the Cup Series we will be seeing in this coming year. This is also an episode about driver changes in silly season. So one of the most clearest ones, Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing after M&M's left NASCAR at the end of last season. Kyle Busch will take Tyler Reddick's spot in the number 8 car at Richard Childress Racing. Speaking of Tyler Reddick, since Kurt Busch has retired from full-time racing, Tyler Reddick goes to 23XI Racing a year earlier than expected. And he goes to join the number 45 car. Ty Gibbs then we have a few guys coming up from the Xfinity Series. AJ Allmendinger back in Cup, the 16 car, after making some part-time starts last year. After making some part-time starts last season, he was full-time in the 16 car. And now Noah Gragson, the guy who finished runner-up in the Xfinity standings last year, now not in the number 9 Xfinity car anymore. He is now in the number 42 Cup car, taking Ty Dillon's spot in the number 42. Meanwhile, Ty Dillon now joins Spire Motorsports in the number 77 car. And our final guy from the Xfinity Series is the defending Xfinity Series champion Ty Gibbs. The 18 car got removed from the Cup Series. The newly rebranded number 54 is what Ty Gibbs will be driving full-time this season. And so now let's move on to some Xfinity Series silly season. I just talked about Noah Gragson. Brandon Jones will be replacing Noah Gragson in the number 9 Xfinity car in 2023. Meanwhile, Myatt Snyder will be part-time and it will be rotating drivers in the number 19 Xfinity car. Sammy Smith goes full-time in their number 18 Xfinity car. And John Hunter Nemechek goes full-time in the number 20 Xfinity car. Speaking of John Hunter Nemechek, Chase Purdy takes John Hunter Nemechek's seat in the number 4 Kyle Busch Motorsports truck as full-time Chase Purdy and Jack Wood, who will run a partial schedule in the number 51, only for the rest of the races to be driven by the boss man himself, Kyle Busch, in the number 51 truck. The 18 truck is gone from the Truck Series after Chandler Smith moves up to the Xfinity Series. He will now be driving the number 16 Xfinity car, replacing AJ. Chandler Smith will be driving the number 16 Xfinity car, replacing AJ Allmendinger in the number 16 car. And now there's a newly rebranded team in the Truck Series who has 4 trucks. David Gilliland Racing is now Tricon Garage. And they have 4 trucks. The number 1, which will be driven by Jason White at Daytona, which from what I've heard, I think it'll be driven by Jason White at Daytona, but it will be rotating drivers. Actually, I think they might have 5 trucks. Dean Thompson will be driving the number 5 truck in the Truck Series for Tricon Garage. Corey Heim will be driving the 11. Tanner Gray in the 15, and I think maybe rotating drivers. I think there might be Sammy Smith driving the 17 at Daytona. And then some more stuff. Christian Eckes replacing Derek Kraus in the number 19 truck. Derek will run a part-time schedule in the number 20 Young's Motorsports truck. I think he's running at Daytona. Meanwhile, with number 19 in that team, and that whole team, I don't know what's happening with Derek Kraus. Meanwhile, Jake Garcia will be driving the number 35 for all but one of the races this season. And that race is the first race of the season at Daytona. Jake Garcia is not old enough to run at the super speedways yet, but he will be turning 18 in a couple weeks. So he will be able to run Talladega in the fall. And that 35 truck will be driven this weekend by none other than the 2020 NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott. And then some ThorSport news. Ty Majeski switches his number from the 66 truck to the 98 truck. And the rest of ThorSport stays the same. Instead, they bring back the 13 truck full-time for Haley Deegan to get her seat and some better equipment. So that is that is it for 4 Wide with Declan this week. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and bye for now.